Welcome to the 2023 Mario and Alma Pastega event. I'm so pleased to see all of you come out to celebrate our colleagues and their achievements. These awards represent Western Oregon University's highest recognition for faculty and staff excellence. As you probably know, 3 awards are given annually to faculty. First, the Pastega Award for Excellence in Scholarship recognizes significant and enduring scholarly or creative achievement. Second, the Pastega Award for Excellence in Teaching honors teaching that engages, inspires, and educates our students. And thirdly, the Pastega Award for Service recognizes a faculty member who has made significant impact on our campus community through their service. There's also the Staff Pastega Excellence Award, which recognizes classified or administrative staff who demonstrate exceptional service to the university. This year's recipient is Rosario Peralta Cortez, who will be recognized at the Staff and Faculty Luncheon on June 9th. So we keep pretty good records on the Pastega Award winners, and going back, I believe this is our 44th year that we have had the award for scholarship. Although in the very early days, it was known as the Faculty Honors Award, but for many decades now, it's been known as the Mario and Alma Pastega Award for Scholarship. This is the 40th year we've had the Teaching Award, and the 4th year that we have had the Service Award. And I just note that these are the primary areas for our faculty. We always talk about teaching, scholarship, and service. So I think it's very appropriate that we have these awards this way. These awards would not be possible without the support of the Pastega family. And I'm very pleased that Ken Pastega is here. Mario and Alma's son is with us today, and we invite him to address us and congratulate the winners. So, Ken Pastega.
I didn't realize I was going to do any speaking, but anyway, Dad and Mom were really passionate about the university. And Dad did a commencement speech at my son's graduation from Western, and it was probably in 2000 something. But they were passionate about the school and Dad being on the foundation. For I don't know how many years he was on the foundation, but he really communicated to the rest of the family to continue on the tradition through the foundation to support the school that he was so passionate about. And we're bringing in the next generation to also participate in this event with the school. And I brought my daughter, I think the last time I came to one of these events was 2016, but I brought my daughter Mika with me and Gail, my wife. And so we're trying to, make sure the traditions continue on that he was so passionate about. And it's exciting to come here and realize how passionate the faculty and the staff from the school and the traditions that go on in this university, because I look at it from a business perspective. We were in the Pepsi-Cola business for 65 years in 4 different areas in Oregon. And our success was because of our staff. They made it happen. We had a market share against Coca-Cola, the billion-dollar company, that it was amazing because the staff was as passionate about our business as we were. And so you can see that happening here today, the passion that the staff and the faculty has for this university. So I just want to thank you for inviting our family members to continue on to come to this event and recognize everybody that has won an award today. Thank you.
So we're going to ask Ken to come back up and be joined with President Peters, because now what we're going to do is we're going to go through the previous award winners. So we got 2020, 21, 22. We're going to hear more about the 23 winners. There's going to be a more extensive introduction. I will do a very short one, and then we're going to hand out these plaques. So Jesse and Ken are going to be moving quickly trying to read these plaques. I don't know if we had them in the right order. I hope we did. So up first, so this is for 2020. I mean, things were, just imagine where we were when these were announced in 2020. So for excellence in scholarship, Dr. Ken Carano, who is unable to be here with us today, he got the Excellence in Scholarship Award. His scholarship has been incredibly impactful, improving pedagogy and global citizenship. And I mean, I've heard his name come up in statewide circles, other universities. He's really making a great impact there. In 2020, our Excellence in Teaching, Pastega Excellence in Teaching Award winner was Dr. Kristen Latham Scott. Now, I can see why Kristen received this award. She is incredibly student-centric in her approach. And for those that you know Kristen, you know she asked very thought-provoking questions. I can only imagine what the classroom is like with your thought-provoking questions. So congratulations, Kristen. Our 2020 Pastega Excellence Award for Service is for Dr. Cindy Ryan. Cindy combines service. Cindy combines service with her teaching, which, as you all know, can be a powerful combination. And as an early childhood studies expert, Cindy has ample opportunity to do just that. Congratulations, Cindy. For our 2021 Pastega Excellence Award for Scholarship, that recipient was Dr. Cornelia Parascavez, who is unable to be with us today. I hope she is enjoying retirement after many years of engaging in, really, I think we all could agree that Cornelia engaged in life-changing teaching, scholarship, and service. So we recognize her. Our 2021 Pastega Award for Excellence in Teaching is for Dr. Jamie Cloud. And being in the same division and department when Jamie came on, I saw firsthand just how much time she put into teaching. I can still imagine you in your office working like crazy. And we were all just envious of these, back then it was Moodle sites, these Moodle sites that she was creating. It was really fabulous. So when I think of an innovative master teacher, Jamie comes to mind. Congratulations. 2021 Pastega Award for Excellence in Service went to Dr. Melanie Landon Hayes. I'm struck by how there are a small handful of just brilliant women on this campus that keep this university running and really make a positive impact. Frankly, I think they're all in this room right now, but Melanie is definitely a part of that. And I noticed with the things that Melanie does, it's not just she does service, she's almost always the leader of whatever group is serving the institution. Congratulations, Melanie. Our 2022 Pastega Award for Excellence in Scholarship went to Dr. Gareth Hopkins. I remember just when Gareth was hired, you hit the ground running on your research. And I think his colleagues would recognize that. I also think, and this is not the type of award distinction you want, but I think you were the first faculty member that got permission to do field research during the pandemic. I think you were out there summer of 2020, one of the few labs outside. So, but that was really impressive, and I think indicative of the scholarship that Garrett does. And I have to tell another story. Just earlier this week, my son, I was driving, I gave my phone to my son, and he found your app, Oregon Turtles. And he was like, what is this? And I was telling him, well, this is an app so we can log where turtles are, and this can help conservation. So Gareth has made quite an impact. Congratulations, Gareth. Our 2022 Pastega Award for Excellence in Teaching went to Dr. Aaron Baumgardner. When I think of Erin, I think of a colleague that leads with a student-centric perspective. She puts her heart and soul into teaching, and the students respond to her enthusiasm and dedication. Quick tangent, huge thanks to the Pastega committee for organizing this, and the program, I think, is one of the best I've ever seen. I was reading through that. I loved the quote that you had there, that your mom claims that you had declared your major as marine biology in kindergarten. And has kept that up since then. Congratulations, Erin. And our 2022 Pastega Award for Excellence in Service. I mean, do I need to say any more? I mean, she's up here doing service, advancing the slides to her own slide, and then going off to another thing at 5 o'clock, serving the institution. To say Brianne is deserving of the Pastega Award for Excellence in Service would be a gross understatement. Brianne was one of the faculty members who helped reform WU's general education program, which in turn has led to a significant increase in student graduation rates. She's a powerful social justice advocate in many different contexts. In the classroom, she's helped our students understand how big data and algorithms need to be understood in the context of societal equity and fairness. Congratulations, Brianne. And it is our pleasure to acknowledge our 2023 award winners. First, our 2023 award winner for excellence in scholarship goes to Dr. Isidore Lobnibe. I've watched Isidore's unwavering scholarly productivity for nearly 2 decades, and I've just been really impressed with the consistency and the quality of your scholarship. Isidore has become a prolific scholar and received several prestigious fellowships. Congratulations, Isidore. This year, our 2023 Excellence in Teaching Award winner is Dr. Misty Weitzel. As a forensic anthropologist and criminal justice faculty member, and gosh, every time I think about you, I think about a faculty development committee proposal I read. I think you were trying to see how long a pig takes to decompose. A buried pig, something like that.
Everyone doing that?
Wow. So Misty is an expert in a fascinating field. Her students really enjoy her courses. She puts a lot into her teaching, and our students are the beneficiaries. Congratulations, Misty. And we have one plaque left, and that is for the 2023 Pastega Award for Excellence in Scholarship, and our recipient is Dr. Leigh Graziano. Like other award winners we've honored today, Leigh is a part of that club that is really keeping the university going in a really powerful way in support of our students. She's been active in general education, recently served as faculty senate president, in addition to her work supporting the first-year writing program. Congratulations, Leigh. Wow, that's a lot. We have some fabulous faculty on our campus, and let's join me, please, in one more round of applause to all. Next, Dr. Hilary Fouts, Dean of Graduate Studies and Research, will introduce our 2023 Excellence in Teaching Award recipient.
Thank you. I don't know if I can top those personalized introductions that go way back, because I'm in my 3rd year, so I have some things to say about the presenters to tee us up here, but I really loved hearing all those stories, and congratulations to everyone. Okay, so our first presenter is Dr. Misty Weitzel, the recipient of this year's Pastega Award for Excellence in Teaching. Dr. Weitzel is a professor of criminal justice, as you just heard, and is also it's a professor of criminal justice and is finishing her 5th year as graduate program coordinator. So our office, we work very closely with Misty. And she is also a forensic anthropologist and joined WU in 2012. One thing I thought was really interesting is before even coming to WU, she was an early adopter in terms of online learning, and has received accolades over the years for this continual improvement and innovation around her teaching. So I feel like this is a nice culmination of that, but this is a long track record of time here. And in fact, during COVID and the early times during quarantine, she extended her educational outreach and created a podcast with her colleague, Dr. Cortales, I don't know if I'm getting that pronunciation right, and launched a podcast called Cabin Femur, Forensic Anthropology in the Age of Quarantine. And I actually think this is a fantastic exemplification of that commitment to educational environments, both in the classroom and outside the classroom, and really getting creative in times where we had very limited ways to outreach that way. So it's my great pleasure to congratulate and introduce Dr. Weitzel.
Thank you so much, Hillary. Yeah, okay. Here we go. I just want to thank everyone. I want to congratulate all the other previous winners, and especially just a shout out to my colleague Isidore, who I've worked with for a while, and I'm just so glad that he won this award because he's such a great scholar and in such an unassuming way, so he's really deserving of that award. And it's a banner year for anthropologists, which, I got this idea. I was thinking, wouldn't it be awesome if WU had an anthropology major? What do you think, Isidore? I want to thank the Pastega family and the Pastega committee members, too, for this award and acknowledgement of my work. Yes, I am using a 1964 movie reference to demonstrate how in touch I am with the students of 2023. But it's pretty fitting, I think, because my confession is that I never wanted to be a teacher. I did not see myself as a teacher ever. I was an anthropology major. I knew that's what a lot of anthropologists end up doing, but I kind of tossed that in my back pocket and just was in denial for a long time about that. So it took me a while to come around. And the universe works in mysterious ways, and sometimes it's making decisions that you don't even know are in your best interest. So here I am, and I'm happy to say that I can't see myself doing anything other than this at this point in time. But it took a long time for that. So rather than me talk about my work or pedagogy, I wanted to use the time I have to just thank those people who have really inspired and mentored me along the way, particularly since I've been here at Western. So that's what I'm going to do. First and foremost is my family. My husband, Larry, who's here, he's the smartest person I know and really the voice of reason for me. And my awesome daughter, Francesca, too, because she teaches me something every single day. So I have to thank my division. You all are probably really sick and tired of people in criminal justice saying how much we love each other, but we really do. I'm surrounded by genuinely, there's Miyuki. We're surrounded by genuinely just kind people that are doing amazing work in criminal justice, and that matters so much. The reason I can do a better job at being an educator is because I'm surrounded by those people. And it's not just the faculty, but it's people like Michelle and Casey too that are only recently part of our team, but they have helped us so much. And also they're just positive people to be around. They clearly like what they do too, and all of that really matters. So I just have to thank my division. Oh, I have to point out this person that Hillary mentioned, Jeriel Cartalis, who is my colleague. She teaches forensic anthropology as well, and she is my co-host on Cabin Femur. But Jeriel was the first of my cohort in forensic anthropology. So she was my student when I first started the minor here and has come back and now is a colleague. And she is a fantastic educator, and she is growing to be a great forensic anthropologist in the community too. So I have to shout out to her as well. I have to point out this guy, Dr. Terry Gingrich, just because I remember the very first phone conversation we had together where he suggested I teach forensic anthropology in criminal justice. And really, he's the person I think is most responsible for bringing me here in the criminal justice division. But I admire this guy for another reason too, and that's just that he reminds me that we can have different opinions about things. Terry and I have very different big picture worldviews, I think, overall. But I think that's so important. We talk a lot about diversity in academia, but one thing we don't talk as much about, but we have in our division a lot, I think, is diversity of ideas and beliefs. And I think we're just so enriched when we can allow for that, not only amongst our colleagues, but in the classroom too. So I respect Terry for that as well. Y'all know this woman. She's gonna kill me. Truly, if there's one person I can point to as being the most influential in my journey down this path of being an educator, it's Dr. Vivian Giacotto. God, I'm gonna tear up here. But she is just, wisdom, diplomacy, just someone that I truly respect and has had a great influence on me. And when I speak about our division and how happy we all are in our division, it's no coincidence. It's not like we just got a bunch of awesome people together and we are all doing a great job. It's under the leadership of Vivian that we are able to do that, because she has led with kindness and caring, and we wouldn't be able to succeed in the way that we have without that. So, she's an awesome division chair. If she had $1 for every single piece of advice she's given me, or more importantly, walked me back from maybe something I was gonna say or do and shouldn't have, she would have a closet full of Louis Vuitton bags, which I wish I could give to her, but it's just gonna be a thanks for today. And then, of course, the reason we're here are our students. And I say mine because I take possession of them. They're my students. There are some really exceptional ones, like Blue Wanhoff over here, who during COVID and just after COVID just brought me back out of the slums, because, this person just excelled in so many different ways and just makes you want to jump on board. What do you want to do? How can I help you do it? Because they are so awesome. But it's the challenging students too, I think, because times are really tough. So even those challenging students remind us that we just need to have some grace and work with them. So my students as well. That's all I wanted to say. I just thank everybody. This means a whole lot to me, especially as someone who didn't ever see themselves in this position. So I thank you. And because I am taking on more administrative roles, I can mentally go into that a lot better now with this acknowledgement. So thanks a lot.
Wow, I just learned something really important. I should never go speak after Misty Weitzel. Whew. Got me all choked up there. And it's such a privilege. Like, I just got to introduce one anthropologist to another anthropologist here today. He's looking away. I know he's going to look back here in a second. Okay. So our next presentation is from Dr. Isidore Lobnibe. He is also the recipient of the Pastega Award and for Excellence in Scholarship. Dr. Lobnibe is a professor of anthropology and joined Western Oregon University in 2007. He is a renowned and active scholar known throughout his field and has served as a peer reviewer worldwide for journals, conducts international field research, and has authored numerous presentations and publications, and has received numerous distinguished research fellowships. In fact, he recently co-authored the book Imagining Futures: Memory and Belonging in an African Family, a collaborative study that turned the lens on his own extended family, exploring how active memory making binds globally dispersed kin. It is my great pleasure to congratulate and introduce Dr. Lobnibe.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Hilary. In my field, I typically am not, I was warned to speak for maybe 10 minutes, and this is unusual of an anthropologist. But because we tell stories, about people, other stories. So, but I will try to stay within the time frame. So let me take this opportunity to also register my appreciation to my colleagues, social science colleagues. We had a very wonderful departmental colleagues and who welcomed me, embraced me. And I've enjoyed myself here in Weston. And I just want to show my debt of gratitude to my former colleague, Dr. Robin Smith, Professor Emerita. She generously agreed to hold down the department whilst I did a lot of international travels. And then you have my colleagues, Dr. Emeritus Professor John Rector, who a Latin American is, but he has been interested in all the things that I do. Any article I write, he's ready to look at it, and I appreciate that. My friendship with Dr. McGlade and Dr. Jokoto, I just want to indicate my appreciation for this. So I just, maybe a few remarks on my, the title of my presentation, An Intellectual Genealogy of a Native Anthropologist. So what I intend to do in this brief presentation is to share with you the broad contours of my scholarship and research interests, or what body of knowledge and disciplinary debates and theories guide and shape my academic engagement. So one is the history of anthropology, especially its role in knowledge production in and about Africa generally. So it's no secret that anthropology has a very bad name in many third world countries. And part of the reason is because of its complicity in the colonial project. So in many African countries, anthropologists tend to shy away from identify themselves as such. And sometimes those in certain departments prefer to classify themselves as sociologists. No. So the reason is that, and I will not go into this because of the polemics, but what happens when anthropology play a very significant role in writing in or incorporating my own culture into a network of colonial knowledge and ethnographic discourse. So this is a question I wish to address, perhaps if time allows. So during the interwar period, right up to the 1960s, the part of West Africa I come from was a beehive of anthropological research. It was in this region and field site that very important theoretical debates on empirical data was generated on culture contact, ancestor veneration, kinship and descent theories, death and property rights, rural development, and informality. Informality, that is the informal economy, by two of the giants of British social anthropologists. So we have Maya Fortes, who conducted research on the Talansi in northeast Ghana. And he was a pioneer of African anthropology, thanks to the research he conducted among these people. And these group of people, the Talansi, were close, not far from my own home region. So he became a towering figure and held professorship in Cambridge and Oxford. So his own student was Jack Goody, who also, he prompted him to conduct research on my own people in the Northwest region. And he became he was credited or identified as one of the most important thinkers the 20th century has produced. So he lived well into just some few weeks before his 100th birthday, and he died in 2015. So one of my research concerns has been the evolution of my discipline through a critical lens from my own lived experiences, background, and growing up in West Africa. So this makes me a native anthropologist. So before the cultural turn of anthropology in the 1980s, every graduate student most likely read about the Talensi or my own people, kinship, and social organization. So in the words of one anthropologist, the Talensi and Lodaga, my own tribe, were minor anthropological celebrities who were placed on the world ethnographic map thanks to the structural functional school of Maya Fortes and Jagudi, these two scholars. Through their research, the two anthropologists also wittingly or not wrote themselves into the fabric of the past of my people and their representation as the primitive order. So structural functionalist anthropologists were merely interested in explaining harmony and coherence in their fieldwork. They wanted to account for what kept the society together, especially in the absence of strong government or centralized political control. In the process, however, they tended to ignore the historical processes and change a theoretical interest of mine. So at the time the two anthropologists conducted their research and fieldwork in my home region, there were ongoing profound changes brought on by the colonial occupation, conversion to Catholic Christianity, migration in search of wage labor, and limited access to school education. Yet the great ethnographers paid little attention to these agents of change, in line with the prevailing structural functional theory that placed emphasis on the here and now, or the synchronic aspect. So this was Maya Fortes side by side with one of my grandfathers during the interwar period, and he's known worldwide as the most distinguished anthropologist that there has been. So you can see he was a South African Jew whose parents intended to migrate to the United States on the eve of the First World War, but they ended up in South Africa. So he studied psychology, but relocated to in Britain and came and studied anthropology. So he ended up in London School of Economics and in Oxford and founded the Department of Anthropology in Cambridge. So his student was Jagudi, and he became a very significant social scientist, a global historian, and at the Planck Institute for Social Anthropology, there's the Jagudi Lecture Series instituted in his honor. And very distinguished, very few highly selected people are invited to speak in that lecture. So you can see the importance of the kind of scholarship that was generated in my home region. So I had the pleasure of going to work with Goody, thanks to a grant I obtained from the Wena Grant Foundation for Anthropological Research in New York. And he hosted me for quite a while at St. John's College at Cambridge University. So this is just to give you a sense of the area I'm talking about. This is West Africa. You see, this is Burkina Faso in the light green and Ghana here. So this region, Wesa, is located right on the border between Ghana and Burkina Faso. And this was my ancestral village. But because of the draconian French colonial policies, they moved into the Ghana border side and settled in a small village called Hamile, which is not on the map. That is my ancestral village up to date. One of the important interests that I have been looking at is to look at the ways in which the colonial border reconfigured existing relations among families, including my own, as very close relatives were separated by the border, and how locals' perception of space in the post-colonial era intersect with the community-present economic strategies and social identities. I'll also examine the embedded power dynamics that underwrote the relations between the early European anthropologists, my anthropological ancestors, the Goody and Fortes that I just talked about, and the African subject, my native or putative ancestors, they studied. So you can see some of the animating thematic concerns that underwrite my own scholarly project. So this is the Hamele border, the border crossing on the Ghana side of my hometown. Now you have bye-bye, a safe journey going to Burkina Faso. On the other side, you have Bon Voyage or Bienvenue. So this was the kind of historical context that that had profound impact on the area, but all of these had been taking place by the great anthropologists who are my ancestral colleagues. So this is the one of the interests that has been engaging with. So with Goody's permission, I had been looking at this power dynamics, and he was really putting an input. But unfortunately, he passed away in 2015. So when I went on sabbatical in Berlin, his former student, who is director at the Max Planck Institute, invited me to give a talk and to reflect on Goody's role. So it turns out that article of mine has been the most cited and widely read scholarship that I've produced. So at least I owe them a great debt. On the processes of change, my published research articles have sought to address the question of West Africa's changing social organization and how that affects the rural household economy, social relations, and the rural-urban migration and connections. So in what ways, for example, are emerging struggles over land-based resources, tenure systems, gender relations, migration of labor implicated in local responses in the transition of African rural society from colonial capitalism to neoliberal globalization? So more recently, I've been concerned with African family history, how an analysis of changing memory practices and remembering might improve our understanding of the key social transformation of the larger society. So what I've been trying to do with my other co-author at the University of Mainz, who is also the president of the Goethe Institute, is to look at how the family history and the changing memory practices can serve as a window to understanding changes in the larger society. And so what we do is to look at the narratives of the ancestral, the narratives or the memory practices before there was literacy in that community. So how did African families remember the past? How did they remember the past, and how did they transmit memories of the past to the younger generation? And these entail narratives of the ancestral migratory routes and settlement history. They relay these accounts to the people. They recite ancestral genealogies during ritual occasions such as funerals, initiation rites, or marriage arrangements. And they also make sure they transmit the past of the family history to the younger generations in case there are struggles over land boundaries or struggles over chieftaincy titles. So the transmission of these past memories were made easy or facilitated by the close-knit habitation of the people. As people live together, they easily could hear or pass down these memories. But what happens as people move away from the common homestead arrangement and so forth? Of course, we also noticed that there were also strategic silences that peasant families or illiterate families maintain so as to not tear the family apart. So these were some of the things that we examined. So looking at history through the lens of family history has been a very productive research that I'm engaging with. And I think on the 25th, I'm actually on my way to Cologne for a conference on this particular topic. These are some of the book chapters in edited volumes or monogram forms that my scholarship have yielded. From the titles, you can see what at least the scope of my research interest. So thanks for listening, and I wanted to, at least for the first time, my daughter and son have managed to come together here to visit me. So they are here, Silas and then Nyeif. Thanks for listening.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, our final presentation will be given by Dr. Leigh Graziano, who is the recipient of this year's Pastega Award for Excellence in Service. Dr. Graziano is an associate professor of English and director of first-year writing and joined faculty of Western Oregon University in 2017. So when I was going to summarize this, I was really in awe of the relatively short amount of time, just double the amount of time I've been here, just almost 6 years, and the long list of not just service, but leadership positions in service. And so I'm gonna list some of them off, but it's really not the full list, which is really telling you something. So, so she has really shown distinct dedication, I would say, to serving WU these past 6 years, including serving as chair of the General Education Committee, president of Faculty Senate during quite uncertain times, faculty advisor to the Student-Led Freedom Center, representative for Western on the statewide Oregon Writing and English Advisory Council, co-chair of the state's Common Course Numbering Subcommittee, and all of this in addition to numerous other committees, as well as search committees. I just came off of a search committee, the Provost Search Committee, with Dr. Graziano. As you can see, this is more than a well-earned award, and so it is my great pleasure to congratulate and introduce Dr. Graziano.
When we were children, my sister and I looked forward to December. December not only meant a long break from school, but also the daily ritual of opening our family advent calendar. Every door held a new surprise, a toy, candy, and if we were really lucky, extra allowance money. My sister and I alternated days, and as you can imagine, the stakes were extraordinarily high. If it was your day, you got to pick the thing you wanted first. It was an activity fraught with drama. Looking back, though, there were some days more rewarding than others, although I didn't necessarily appreciate it at the time. Some days didn't have the surprise we were expecting. At least once per week, the door opened, and the prize was a sticky note that said, "Service." When we were very young, this often meant that we looked through the charities that came in the mail and ultimately donated some money to adopt a polar bear. As we got older, though, it meant learning more about charity organizations, working at sanctuary farms that rescued injured wildlife and liberated farm animals. And for me, it eventually meant volunteering to teach Sunday school at my church, which I did throughout high school. There was a reward I didn't realize until I was older in those service days. For my parents, I think the reward was sharing their own values about service, of giving because we were able. My father donated his time and talent to play the piano for the church I grew up in every Sunday morning. My mother spent her entire life as a neonatal nurse, caring for and serving families in some of the most emotional and heartbreaking situations. For me, though, the reward came in the form of personal growth, of discovering a genuine desire to serve, uplift, and positively impact others. I think about our Advent calendar a lot when I think about service work, not just because it's where I think my commitment to a life of service began, but because it provides a frame for how I think about the value of this work. Just like the joy and anticipation that each door of an Advent calendar brings, My work as a servant leader has been filled with mystery, surprises, and valuable lessons. The Advent calendar helped to bring my family closer to the mystery of a special holiday. Similarly, I believe service work has the potential to bring us closer to our shared goals as a community. This is what I keep centered when I serve on a committee. In my work co-chairing the Common Course Numbering Subcommittee for Writing, I used this focus on shared goals to move us past spending our meeting time grieving the aspects of this legislative mandate that are unfair. I validated those feelings because they matter and deserve to be empathized with, but I also asked us to think collectively about what we wanted to accomplish with this work. I asked us to consider how we could use it as an opportunity to learn more about each other's pedagogical approaches, the diverse needs of Oregonian students, and the kinds of curriculum that would support them. At every point in our work, I redirected us to that shared vision for what this work could do, even within the frame of working conditions that were deeply inequitable. Keeping our work focused on a shared vision helped us overcome individual desires and to compromise more, and I was surprised to discover how satisfied we were as a group with that final product. One lesson that I have learned through my work as a servant leader is the importance of not just active listening, but listening into action. Like opening a door of an Advent calendar, listening allows me to uncover the perspectives, ideas, and concerns of my colleagues. By genuinely listening, I create a safe and inclusive space where everyone feels valued and understood. But that alone isn't enough. Most of our committees here are representative. That means that if you are serving as the representative of your division, you are in a position to be a servant leader, to not just listen to the concerns of your colleagues, but to voice and advocate for them. One thing that my co-chair and I prioritized when we presented our final decisions to the Transfer Council was to read aloud the rationale of the single individual who voted no. One no vote wasn't enough to trigger a formal alternate report for the Transfer Council to consider, but we still wanted to hold space for this colleague and make sure that their valuable perspective was on the record. No matter our role within the campus community, service work benefits from truly prioritizing everyone's voices and embracing diverse perspectives. Just as the Advent calendar brought my family together in the shared ritual and excitement of opening a door each day, servant leadership encourages teamwork and cooperation. In fact, I see little point to service work unless we are striving to foster a culture of collaboration. I have witnessed the magic that unfolds when individuals come together, leveraging their strengths and supporting one another. I know for sure that we would not have accomplished anything during my year as Faculty Senate President without my vocal and supportive executive committee. We weren't able to stop the difficult decisions made that year, but we were able to slow things down, add additional steps, and provide a space for more conversation. I'm grateful to have served with such a strong group of colleagues who were never silent at our meetings and were always willing to have difficult but compassionate conversations. What we achieved together surpassed what I would have been able to do alone, and I know that we can grow more as a campus if we genuinely make space for building strong relationships with each other, fostering trust, and creating a sense of unity. Although I know it's likely expected for this presentation to focus entirely on my own accomplishments, I'd rather talk about what we could accomplish together if we invest in the value of service work. I borrowed the title of this talk from Apple TV's newest show, Big Door Prize. In it, in case you're not familiar, a town finds that a mysterious machine has appeared in their local convenience store. When you place your hands on it, it ejects a card upon which is written your potential. Looking back, I can see how the Advent doors that contain service started me down a path to the kind of work that I find rewarding and important, and unlocked my potential to be a servant leader. Yes, you can look at service work as an annoyance, as more meetings to attend, as pointless and perhaps even tedious work. You can show up, zoom in and zone out, contributing only your attendance. But our mindset shapes our reality, and I'd encourage you to adopt a different one, to look for the reward within the work you've been invited to do. There's a great potential within every service activity, so here's my challenge for you all today. Here is your potential. Every time you serve on a committee, ask yourself, how can I be disruptive? I'm not talking about being obstructionist, but how you can examine the system and processes we have in place and improve them or replace them with something better. Just because we've done something a certain way for a long time doesn't mean there isn't a better way. Disrupt the status quo and look for the change that you can bring to that area. How can I be an advocate for change? The question is not, will we change? Change is inevitable. Nothing stays the same. The question is, how will we greet that change? How will we drive it? We can choose to be afraid of moving in a new direction, or we can choose to see it as a mystery and be open to the reward that we might find there. How can I participate meaningfully? Use your strengths to balance listening to understand and taking action. Often we volunteer on committees as representatives of our peers. Use your strengths and your voice to amplify the voices of your students and colleagues. Counter narratives matter. It's not wasted to do the work of challenging us to consider a different perspective or path. Find a way to participate that helps you move us towards what we value for our WU community. How can I be a better partner? We sit at tables with faculty, staff, students, and administrators. Our positionalities and privileges are not the same. We will never make progress if we don't strive for partnerships with each other, for listening and taking seriously each other's struggles, concerns, and experiences. Although we outgrew the ritual of the Advent calendar many years ago, I have never stopped opening doors. I open new doors every time I serve on a committee, and with each, the reward within those original slips of paper that said service gets deeper. I'm constantly discovering new things about myself as a leader and about the ways I can use the service space to prioritize doing what is right for our community. The prize is always the opportunity service work presents for us to care for each other. I hope we can all start to claim that prize together. Thank you.
Now I'm happy to introduce our president, Dr. Jesse Peters, for closing remarks.
Thanks. Well, this is my first one, so I have a lot to say. So, but I wanted to start by thanking the Pastega family. I think, how many years did you say this has been going, Rob? 44 years of funding an award like this is really meaningful, because I think what it does is it allows us to come together as a community and celebrate things that are often not celebrated. And if they are, they're celebrated in small groups. But it allows us to re-articulate the meaningful things that take place at a university. And it sounds like your father and mother were committed to that, and it is so wonderful that the generations beyond them are also committed to it. So on behalf of this university, I thank you and I appreciate it. So thanks. So teaching, scholarship, service, these things that we talk about that sometimes can seem a little bit like hoops you must jump through to get to an end goal in your career. But as we heard through the words of these three recipients today, I think they are things that are transformative in the lives, not only of our students, but also in our community and with each other. Every single person talked about their colleagues, which is really a beautiful thing, right? I think we sort of feel that support with colleagues, and it's as if we stand together with our arms linked as we go forward, drawing strength on each other. And it was a joy to hear your passion for each other, because it is a community. I think we form that, and our students respond to that. I've always said that regional universities that I love are places where the world changes more than they do at other institutions. I think there's so much energy, so much transformational opportunity that you all engage in as faculty and put that energy into. And we know, we call it like love of our students and love of our job and love of our colleagues, but I think it's a love of seeing things improve for the better in the world, and that is done through this human interaction that you get to engage in. We all get to engage in every day. So I think it's a powerful place to be, and I'm honored to serve all of you. So thank you for what you do. I would say that what you do is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm glad that we can recognize it together. So with that, I'll stop, and we can mingle and celebrate more and have some refreshments. So thank you all. Very well-deserved honors.